World Geography, Latin America, Urban Migration, and Income Inequality. Here are the learning objectives. 1. Identify the roots of urbanization. 2. Analyze the benefits and problems associated with urbanization. 3. Describe migration issues within Mexico and their effect upon the relationship with the United States. 4. Explain the income gap and describe solutions to this problem. Urban population explosion. Roots of urbanization. Urbanization, the movement of people from the rural areas to the cities. This began with the emergence of the Industrial Revolution in the late 1700s. As technological innovations flourished during this period, and due to the scientific revolution, people moved to the cities to find work at new manufacturing plants. Modern rural to urban shift. Now, the majority of the world's 7 billion people live in cities. In 1950, only 30% of the world's 2.5 billion inhabitants lived in the urban environment. Demographers believe that by 2050, almost 70% of an estimated world population of 10 billion people will reside in an urban area. Megacities. Megacities are urban areas that have more than 10 million inhabitants. In 1950, there were only two, the New York, Newark area and Tokyo, Japan. Today, there are 22 megacities, mostly in developing countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. In the less developed regions of the world, 2 out of 3 people still reside in a rural area, but migration to cities is increasing. Urban possibilities. In less developed nations, even though most of the new arrivals, due to a lack of education, live in slums and shanty towns, there is this potential to earn cash that was not there when they lived out on the farm. And with cash, they can improve their lives. Another good thing about cities is that they're more energy efficient than rural areas. And so society is able to decrease energy consumption by 20%. Infrastructure and transportation costs are also lower in the city because the markets and the businesses are closer together and workers live closer to their place of work. Urban problems. The problems in megacities include things like this. 1. Lack of access to clean water and inadequate sanitation systems. This includes raw sewage, the removal of raw sewage, and the removal of trash. 2. Inefficient transportation systems. 3. Unreliable electrical networks. 4. Lack of adequate health care. And 5. Unreliable police protection and public corruption, bribery, things like that. Urban migration in Mexico. Mexican farms. The types of farms in Mexico include these: the small privately owned farm, large farms held in common by groups of farmers. These are called ejidos. And large commercial farms that grow food primarily for export to other countries. Plight of Mexican farmer. Unfortunately, nowadays the small farmer can no longer compete with the large commercial farm. He doesn't have the money to purchase the seeds and fertilizer and farm machinery that's necessary to increase his production. Therefore, most of these small farmers are selling their land, and then if possible, they stay in the countryside, but the only work for them is to work for low wages on the commercial farms. So poverty and unemployment are increasing in rural Mexico. As this poverty increases, more farmers migrate to the cities, hoping to find a job that pays more and to access better education for their children. Migration to United States. Another possibility when you're searching for better opportunities is to leave and go to another country. So some Mexicans do choose to illegally cross the border into the United States. However, illegal migration has decreased in recent years for these reasons. Number one, migrants traveling within Mexico are often threatened by narcotics traffickers and gangs of kidnappers. Their money is extorted from them. It's dangerous. Two, the United States has increased border enforcement. It's harder to get across. Three, the arrest and deportation of the most violent criminal aliens is now common in the United States. Four, the 2008 to 2012 economic recession, that decreased the number of jobs that were available for migrants here in the United States. So less people came. There was no work for them. Income gap. Income gap explanations. The free enterprise system, it does not benefit all equally. There's often an income gap between the rich and the poor. The major reason for the persistence of this income gap includes 1. The poor lack of formal education. They don't have the skills that are needed to take advantage of better job opportunities in a modern economy. 2. Generational poverty. This makes economic mobility difficult. If your parents are poor, unfortunately, you often end up poor as well. You don't have that social support network in place that would help you go on to the university and obtain an education and get the skills necessary in our economy today. 3. Corrupt politicians favor the elites and they protect their financial interests. This is government corruption. Conditional cash transfer. In Mexico and Brazil, there are programs referred to as the Conditional Cash Transfer Programs, or CCT. And these programs, what they do is they try and reduce poverty by making welfare programs conditional upon the receiver's actions. So if you want to get welfare, you have to do certain things, meet certain conditions. Some of these include enrolling your child in the public schools, making sure he attends, making sure he behaves. Number 2, families must agree to receive a regular checkup at the doctor's office. Stay healthy. And 3, children must receive their vaccinations. The Brazilian program, known as Bolsa Familia, is responsible for about 20% of the drop in inequality in that country since 2001. The end. Thank you for your attention.